Have you ever just had this feeling that the connections in your life, your friendships, your relationships, are all a little fragile? Kind of like they could just disappear at any moment? If you felt that, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dig into why so many of us feel this way, as we explore what some are calling the era of disposable connection.
And this, right here, this really gets to the heart of it. I mean, think about it. Not that long ago, the people in your life felt permanent. Relationships were built on who was around you, your shared history, and that made them hard to replace. But now, that whole dynamic is completely flipped. A world of potential new friends, new partners, it's literally at our fingertips, just one swipe away.
So, the big question is, how did we get here? What was it that caused this massive shift in how we connect? Well, it all kicks off with something we can call the myth of more. This really powerful idea that having endless choice has totally rewired how we even think about relationships.
So where did this myth come from? A huge part of the answer is social media. It didn't just connect us, it kind of taught us a whole new belief system. The platforms are designed to constantly, relentlessly reinforce this one idea. There is always more out there waiting for you. And this idea of more just became this constant drumbeat in our lives. It started with the promise of more options, just an endless scroll of choices you could never, ever get through.
Then, of course, that led to the promise of more people, this bottomless well of faces and profiles to meet, to know, and to potentially connect with.
And finally, it all comes together in the promise of more chances, right? If one connection doesn't quite work out, why would you worry? The next opportunity is always right there. It's a really intoxicating promise, but, as we're about to see, it's also incredibly damaging to real connection. And of course, that belief in more doesn't just stay in our heads. It directly changes how we act. It has created a new default reaction whenever we hit any kind of challenge in our relationships, the ease of replacement.
This has basically created a new 3-step playbook for modern relationships. Step 1, a connection hits a rough patch, things get a little uncomfortable. Step 2, instead of doing the hard work of fixing it, we just jump to a new solution. Step 3, you replace it. It's simple, it's efficient, and it is deeply, deeply troubling.
So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it's that friendship that just fizzles out. There's no big fight, just a quiet fade to nothing. It's the relationship that vanishes without a word, what we now call ghosting. And underneath all of it is the exact same belief. Fixing this is going to be hard, and there's probably someone else out there who will be easier.
Now, this whole system might seem really efficient on the surface, but there is a huge emotional price that we are all paying for it. So let's talk about the cost of connection, the real emotional fallout of living in this disposable world.
And this all leads to a question that I think is on everyone's mind, even if we're not saying it out loud. Why does everybody feel so insecure these days? And there's a related question that cuts just as deep. Why is it that even the connections we do manage to make feel so shallow? Like we're just skating on the surface with each other.
The answer to both of those questions is really the same thing. These are the direct consequences of a culture of disposability. It creates widespread insecurity because you never feel truly safe or chosen. It leads to shallow connections because why would you invest deeply if it could all just end tomorrow? And it creates this constant, nagging feeling that being chosen by a friend, by a partner, is always temporary.
Okay, so it's really easy to see all this as a problem that's just happening to us. But the truth is a lot more complicated. This isn't just a system we're living in, it's a self-perpetuating cycle of insecurity. And we really need to understand the role that we all play in it.
Let's actually put a name to this whole phenomenon: the disposable self. This is what happens when people are treated as replaceable over and over and over again. You start to internalize that feeling, and as a defense mechanism, you begin to act disposable yourself. Keeping people at a distance or leaving before you can be left.
And honestly, here's the scariest part of all. It's not just that this is happening to us, we are all, whether we realize it or not, little cogs in this machine. Even when we absolutely hate how it feels to be treated as disposable, we turn around and do the same things to other people because it feels like the only way to protect ourselves. This all brings us to our final section, which is centered on this core conflict we can call the patience paradox. And it's basically this idea that the one thing we need more than anything to break this cycle is the very thing our modern world has systematically destroyed.
It is so tempting to blame our phones, to blame the apps, the algorithms, and yeah, for sure, they are the delivery system for this whole mindset.
But they aren't the root of the problem. The real issue is something much more fundamental and much more human.
So this is the thought I really want to leave you with. Real, deep, lasting connection, it isn't fast. It requires patience, it means sitting with discomfort, it means working through conflict, and it means giving things time to grow. But patience just can't survive in a world that's obsessed with speed. And that leaves us with a huge question. In a world that moves this fast, how do we ever learn to be slow with each other again?